My family said teaching was a waste, until they learned about my education empire. The annual Thompson family reunion was in full swing when I arrived, fashionably late to avoid the usual interrogation about my disappointing career choices. The lakeside villa buzzed with conversations about investments, corporate mergers, and business empires. The only topics my family ever seemed to care about. "Olivia," my Aunt Margaret called out, wine glass in hand. "We were just discussing your brother's latest acquisition. Another tech company, isn't it wonderful?" I smiled politely, already knowing where this was heading. My brother James stood in the center of an admiring crowd, describing how his venture capital firm had just closed a $300 million deal. "And what are you up to these days?" Aunt Margaret asked, though her tone suggested she'd already dismissed whatever answer I might give. "Still teaching." Before I could respond, my father's voice cut in from behind us. "Yes, still just a small-town teacher," he sighed, managing to pack years of disappointment into those few words. If only they knew that just a teacher was running the fastest-growing education technology company in history. That while they were bragging about millions, I was quietly building billions. My phone buzzed, a message from my COO. "Big news. Need you to approve the press release." I excused myself, stepping away from the family gathering to find a quiet corner. The numbers on my screen made me smile. EDU Revolution had just crossed 50 million active users. Our platform was transforming education across 157 countries, making quality learning accessible to everyone, not just the privileged few. "Ms. Thompson," my assistant Andrea's voice came through my earpiece. "The Wall Street Journal is asking for a comment on the user milestone, and the acquisition team needs your final approval on the Stanford deal." "Tell them I'll call back in an hour," I replied quietly, watching my family continue their ritual of competitive success stories. "I'm at a family thing." "The same family that thinks you're just a teacher?" I could hear the smile in her voice. "The very same." I thought back to the day I'd told them I was leaving my position at a prestigious private school to build an education platform. The laughter had been immediate and unanimous. "Online teaching?" My brother had scoffed. "That's not a real business, Liv. It's barely even a real job." My father, a titan of traditional investment banking, had been more direct. "You're wasting your potential. Teaching is for people who can't do anything else." That was 4 years ago. Now EDU Revolution was valued at $4.2 billion, though none of them knew that. They'd never bothered to Google my name, too busy assuming they knew everything about my small-town teacher life. Andrea's voice came through again. "The milestone announcement is ready. Should I wait or?" I looked around at my family, all of them so certain they knew who was successful and who wasn't. "No," I decided. "Send it now." Within minutes, phones around the room started buzzing. The news was breaking across major outlets. EDU Revolution hits 50 million users, revolutionizing global education access. I watched as my cousins, all deep in finance and consulting, glanced at their phones. Saw the moment they registered the numbers. The user base. The valuation. The founder's name. "Breaking news," Andrea announced, walking into the reunion right on cue. "Ma'am, your education platform just hit 50 million users. The board is requesting an emergency meeting to discuss the expansion timeline." The room froze. Every head turned toward me. My father's glass stopped halfway to his lips. "Thank you, Andrea," I said calmly. "Tell them I'll be available in an hour." The silence that followed was deafening. My brother James was the first to speak, his voice strangled. You're the founder of EDU Revolution?" I smiled, thinking of all the times he'd patted my head and told me to think bigger than teaching. "Yes, James. Turns out education can be quite a profitable sector when you understand how to innovate in it." "But," my father struggled to form words. "This says the company is worth billions." $4.2 billion as of this morning, I confirmed. "Though that will probably change after today's announcement." "Andrea, what are the markets doing?" "Stock's up 12% in the last 10 minutes, she reported, tablet in hand. "The Stanford acquisition news is causing quite a buzz." My Aunt Margaret sank into a nearby chair. "Stanford? You're buying something from Stanford." "Not from Stanford," I corrected. "We're acquiring their online education subsidiary. They approached us, actually. Seemed to think we knew something about digital learning." The irony wasn't lost on me. For years, my family had dismissed online education as inferior, just as they'd dismissed my career choice as beneath them. Now their precious Ivy League institutions were coming to us for guidance. My father stepped forward, his banker's instincts taking over. Why didn't you tell us? We could have helped, provided capital. Because you would have tried to control it, I said simply. You would have tried to make it fit your idea of what a business should be. But education isn't just about profit margins. It's about impact. I walked to the window, looking out at the lake where we'd spent summers as kids. Do you know what really matters to me? Not the valuation, not the stock price. What matters is that last week, a girl in rural India became the first person in her village to take advanced physics classes. A boy in South Africa learned coding from world-class instructors. A single mother in Kansas earned her degree while working full-time. I turned back to face them. That's what teaching is about. That's what I've been building while you were all busy feeling sorry for my career choice. The room was silent again, but different this time. Less shocked, more contemplative. My brother had pulled up EDU Revolution's website on his phone, scrolling through the features, the testimonials, the global reach. This is incredible, he admitted finally. The adaptive learning algorithms, the personalized curriculum paths. How long have you been developing this? Since my second year of teaching, I replied. While you were all assuming I was just grading papers, I was building a platform that would make quality education accessible to everyone, not just those who could afford private schools. Andrea appeared again. Ms. Thompson, the board is waiting, and the governor's office called about the statewide implementation proposal. My father's eyes widened. The governor? Yes, I said, gathering my things. Turns out some people see the value in revolutionizing education. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a company to run. As I walked toward the door, my Aunt Margaret called out, Olivia, wait. Perhaps we should discuss some investment opportunities. I paused, turning back with a smile. Our last funding round was oversubscribed. But I'll have my team send you the public trading information. After all, families should have the chance to invest in education, even if they didn't believe in it before. The next morning, I arrived at EDU Revolution's headquarters early, just as I had when this was all still an experiment run from my classroom after school hours. The security guard smiled knowingly. He'd been with us since the beginning, when our office was a converted storage room in the school where I taught. Big day yesterday, Miss Thompson? I nodded, watching employees stream into the building. Teachers, engineers, designers, all united by the belief that education could be better, more accessible, more effective. Every day we're changing lives is a big day, Joe. My office looked different in the morning light. Awards lined the walls, education innovation prizes, technology honors, recognition from governments and institutions worldwide. But my favorite display was simpler, my old teaching credentials next to our first user thank you letter. Andrea arrived with my schedule. Your brother's called 4 times already, and your father's trying to set up a meeting through his investment team. Let them wait, I said. Some things can't be rushed. I opened my laptop, reviewing the overnight statistics. Another 1 million users had joined the platform. Another step toward proving that education wasn't just a noble profession, it was a world-changing force. A notification popped up, another major publication requesting an interview. They wanted to know the secret behind EDU Revolution's success. How a high school teacher had built a multi-billion-dollar education technology empire. The secret was simple, though not what they expected. It wasn't about the technology, though that was revolutionary. It wasn't about the business model, though that had proven highly successful. The secret was believing that education could be both accessible and excellent. That sometimes the people who dismiss teaching as a lesser career do so because they've never understood its true potential. My phone buzzed with a message from a student using our platform in a remote village. She'd just been accepted to university, the first in her family to have the opportunity. This was why we did it. Not for the billions in valuation, not for the industry accolades, not to prove the doubters wrong. We did it because education had the power to transform lives, and someone had to believe it could be done better. I picked up my old teacher's planner, the one where I'd first sketched out the idea for EDU Revolution. Sometimes I took it to education conferences, showing teachers that they could be more than what society expected. That sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is refuse to accept just as a limitation. Andrea appeared in the doorway. Ready for the morning meeting? I stood, taking one last look at the city skyline. At the building where we were proving that education could be both noble and revolutionary. At the future we were building while others were saying it couldn't be done. Ready, I said. Let's go change some lives. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't proving others wrong. It's proving yourself right. And sometimes, just sometimes, it's showing the world that the career they dismissed as just teaching was capable of changing everything. Thanks for watching. See you again in the next video. Stay stunned.